Well, again, good Monday morning to everyone and welcome to the Learning Lab. Today is part one of a two-part session, and we're going to be discussing all things Buyside, which has been rebranded to, of course, Percy.Ai. You'll see us use these terms interchangeably, depending on what we're working with within the system, but just know that Percy.Ai is the essentially parent company behind Buyside, which powers a couple of different products for us. The first two that we'll be covering today will, of course, be our home valuation site, which you should see up on the screen. And then we're going to talk about its accompaniment, which is the BMA, or the buyer market analysis. They're really kind of one and the same. One is just for public use, and the other one is just an additional professional presentation that you can use along with your CMAs and other listing presentation materials that you have. We're going to go over a bunch of different good ideas today, and also just show you what these reports have and how you can use them. We're going to get into a couple of AI options for you so that you can use it to help market this. We're also going to tie it into a couple of our other products that we have and show you what we also have available. You might be asking yourself, why are you doing a Percy.Ai class right now? Well, the good news is that we have a couple of things coming up that will come in handy for this, but it's also just a great time of year to start generating seller leads. As we know, he who dies with the most listings wins. And right now we have a market that could certainly use some more listings, and we have some people who are certainly going to be looking to sell. This is a great piece of information just to give out to the public, even if people aren't looking to sell, in order to generate leads. And you can start working these with lots of different options that you have available from the company. In addition to that, you'll be getting more information about this in the coming weeks, but we do have National Home Valuation Week coming up. So hopefully we can get you the two training classes on Buyside and Percy.Ai to get you started, and you'll have all of this information so that when that date comes around for National Home Valuation Week, you'll know exactly what you need to do in order to continue to generate leads and use all the different promotional materials that are coming with that. Just as a matter of housekeeping this morning, this class is being recorded. You will be able to go back and take a look at it. Haley, our training assistant, is in here in the class. She'll be keeping an eye on the chat. She'll also be checking to see if anybody raises their hand for a question. You're welcome to throw any questions that you have or comments into chat. We'll go ahead and keep an eye on them. See, we have a couple of other people from marketing in here as well. They can also join in and answer any questions in the meantime. Please keep your mics muted, just makes for a nice cleaner recording, and you're welcome to leave your camera on, but it's not required for this class, but you'll end up on YouTube in perpetuity with your smiley happy face off to the corner if you leave it on. So it's up to you whether you leave it on or off, but it's not required for this class. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully all of you have seen what this screen looks like, which is the What is Your Home Worth portal. We are borrowing Ralston's today. I saw he just joined. So Ralston, thank you for being our agent du jour today. Hopefully you generate lots of seller leads over the next half hour as we play with the home valuation screen. Each of you has one of these. Now, if you have a site builder website, you have your home valuation built into it in lots of different ways. Sometimes you'll see it up in the navigation bar. Sometimes you will see it as a call to action. Sometimes you'll see it in multiple places. We like to add the call to action as many places as we can. You'll see it on some of our city and area pages that we have pre-built for you on your website as well, because we're just trying to generate that lead. This is, again, that great information that basically says, what is your home worth? That is the universal question. What is my home worth? Especially in a changing market. We know values over the last few years have gone way up on certain things. There's a little bit of market uncertainty right now. We haven't had the change in the interest rates yet. We have a lot of things either coming on the market. We now, for the first time in a while, have things staying on the market a little bit longer than they were. So this is a great time to ask that question to the public. What is your home worth? And this is what it looks like. I want you to notice that this is the agent version of this. And again, thanks, Ralston, for letting us borrow this one. You'll notice that it is branded to the company, but it's also branded to you. Today, I'm going to show you where you can also check on some of this information. If you go on here for the first time and you'll see that maybe it doesn't have your cell phone number, it has your office phone number instead, I can show you where you can go ahead and change that in your profile as well. So if you do happen to see it on there, yes, you can change some of this information. Other portions of this information, like your photo and some of your stuff like your name and things like that, are generated by what we call the roster sync. So what that means is the information that's put into your RWT Connect profile is actually pulled into Buyside. So when you go to click on the Buyside link in RWT Connect, if it gives you an error for whatever reason, it means that your email address, which is part of that roster sync, was changed in one system but not the other. And if you'll just let us know, we'll be happy to go ahead and get that synced back up for you again so that you can use that button. So let's start from the beginning and let me show you how you can access this. All right, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to go to another screen over here. I am on RWT Connect. I'm already logged in. This is what your dashboard should look like. I'm logged in as Ralston today. And if you scroll on down, I'm just going to go scroll like this. This is the button you're looking for right here, which is Buyside. For some of you who may have been introduced to the BHHS Marketing Resource or Marketing Resource Center first, you'll notice that they also have a button on their screen called Buyer Match. It is one in the same. So they do have an instance of Buyside that is available through BHHS Resource Center as well. But if you access it through here, you'll get the company add-ons that we have. It's really similar in some respects. We talk about this with Express Docs, that BHHS Global has a version of Express Docs. And of course, we have a local version that has more information for you. This Buyside button is the same, that Buyer Match. We have a couple of extra add-ons that we have as the company level. So you'll want to go ahead and access that through RWT Connect if possible. Once you go ahead and click on this, it's going to take you to your dashboard. Now, this is what the Buyside dashboard looks like. And for just sake of time, I've gone ahead and logged in already. This is the agent dashboard on here. The only thing that you're going to be missing is that switch to admin view. You won't have that button on there. If you have any buyers who are registered in the system, they're going to be under there with the My Buyers section. We're actually going to talk about that in part 2. We're also going to talk about the My Listing section in part 2. So today we're not focused on that section as well. We're literally looking over here at these valuation attempts. And we're going to look at the home valuation site and the BMA today under your Buyside dashboard. Okay, right here. Remember I said that I would show you where you could go ahead and update your information. Let's go ahead and cover that first. It's really easy. Up here under your photo, you do have a section called My Account. There we go. And if you click on that, you'll notice that you have the option to go ahead and add any additional phone numbers that might not be there. So if your mobile phone number didn't bring over, or if something like your office phone is used as your primary number, you can go ahead and click your cell phone number and you can go ahead and add it in there. So this is that section that you'll want to go ahead and change, just to go ahead and update that. So your first name and last name should be pulling in from that roster sync. And again, that username or email should be grayed out for you as well. If for whatever reason, again, you get that error when you click that Buyside button, it means this email and the email in your RWT Connect profile aren't the same. And we can go ahead and change that through web support. We're really happy to do that for you. All right. So let's go back to our dashboard. And today we're going to look at this home valuation site piece up here. So I'm going to go ahead and click that button just so you can see everything that's available to you under the home valuation site. If you're not sure what your link is, maybe you don't have a site builder website, or you just want to go ahead and access the direct link, this is where you're going to find it. Once you click on that home valuation site, it's going to bring you to the marketing suite kind of dashboard here. And there's a couple of things that we're going to look at. If you need to know what your URL is, so if you need to know what your direct link is all the time, if you just click on this preview my site right there, it's going to go ahead and bring up that link. This is the link that you're going to be able to use to share at any time. So if you wanted to go ahead and post this to your Facebook business page, if you wanted to add this to anything, you're welcome to do that as well. But you should have the homevalue.rwtown or rwtown.com/ and then your name. And so this should match up here. For those of you who have a team site through Site Builder, you also have a team version. So you will have a team version, but you also have individual versions. If you're not entirely sure how to update your team version, or if you want to know the difference between your team version and your agent version, just let us know in web support. We'll be happy to walk through that with you. We're not going to cover how to update that team section today, but just know that if you do have an actual team website through Site Builder website, through our Site Builder stuff, you also have a team version of this as well. All right. Just going to go back here real quick. You do have the ability to market this home value page as well. So this is a really quick button here called Add to Email Signature. If I click that, it's going to narrow these down just a little bit. But here's those instructions for adding to an HTML email. So for those of you who might need that, you can do that. You can copy and paste the text below, and it's going to have that link. Notice if I roll over, it makes that little pointer sign here. You can actually go ahead and copy and paste that if you need to. Or if you just needed to go ahead and copy the link into your email signature, you can do that as well. If you need help adding that to your email signature, especially if it's an Outlook and you're using your RW Town email that's provided by the company, you can go ahead and let IT know in support, and they'll be happy to walk through that with you as well. But it should be just a copy and paste into your email to be able to use that. You can also use this link in a couple of other places. So for those of you who like to use Instagram, and maybe you have a link tree or you wanted to go ahead and put this in your bio, this is the link you would use as well if you needed to copy that. Or if you even wanted to make like a link sticker or something like that, you could use that as well. So that's the link you'll want to use. I'm going to go ahead and click on a couple of these other buttons right here. You can also immediately share this on social media. So this is just bringing in the 3 most common ones here. But if I go ahead and click on that Facebook button, it's going to go ahead and just bring up that Facebook share. And I'm actually going to show you how to do this manually here in just a minute. You can also share it on X, and you can certainly share it on LinkedIn. This is a great place to add it. I don't see a lot of our agents adding it to their LinkedIn profiles, especially right now, but this is a great way to reach a lot of professional people is by adding it to your LinkedIn profile. The other button we have here is something called a widget for your website. Now, if you have a site builder website, you don't need to use this at all. We have this widget pre-built into all of our sites. And again, it can either be a call to action or it can be up in your navigation menu. We have it built into some of the pages as well. But for those of you who might be have an external site, or some of you also have like a WordPress blog and things like that, there is the ability to go ahead and add that little widget to your site. There's a little piece of code that you can always add that will allow you to have a little how much is your home worth box available on your site. And again, if you're using Site Builder, this is all built in already. You do not need to use this, but it is there, especially for those of you who might have a blog. And last but certainly not least, download your QR code. This is already pre-made for you. So this is the QR code for your actual site. This would go directly to you. So if I were to go ahead and put this on a postcard and somebody were to go ahead and snap that with their phone, this is going to go directly to Ralston's home valuation site. So this is uniquely for you. You can download this QR. This is great to add to your postcards if you're sending them out. This is great to print out, maybe to put into some of your open houses. It's great to put into any of your email signatures, bottom of the flyer, anywhere you might start to use QR codes that would have a call to action on it. Feel free to go ahead and use this. You can also, if you're opening up a marketing order, feel free to download this QR and put it in there and ask them to add it to your postcard if you're having a custom postcard made. I can also show you there's a couple of postcards, and we'll get there in just a second. A couple of postcards that are actually available in something like Express Docs that allow you to add a QR code. This is a great place to add it. They fit perfectly in there, and they look great, and you can put a call to action on it as well. So that QR code is already made for you, and it's already in the system. So let's go ahead and take a look and see at what one of these reports looks like, and let's go over the report and see everything that's available for you. So here I am back on Ralston's website again. Notice for him, it's up here in the navigation bar. How much is my home worth? But I'm here on his Site Builder website. And if I scroll down, he also has a call to action that says home value report, and it says go, and it allows you to go to that home value report. So if I click on that button, it should take us to his home valuation site again. There we go. And all anybody needs to do to get a market report is to put an address in here. I've already started to put a couple of addresses in here just for experimenting this morning. I'm going to try one here. I just picked a house at random. I'm sorry if you know this person, but I want you to know that it starts to pre-fill. And you're saying to yourself, wow, Pennsylvania, Texas, Illinois, Nebraska. Here's the thing. Especially in this area, we know that people are moving in and out all the time. People might want to check on their parents' home value somewhere. People might be moving out of state. They want to look at other values. We leave this wide open. So especially for our military members who might be moving in and out, or people who might be retiring to certain areas and things like that, they can check the home value of their site in another state. They can also check home values, if they're moving out of state as well. So this is not just based on our area. You can go ahead and check any address anywhere as long as there's coverage. So you'll see that it's going to start to autofill in here. I picked something in Chesapeake today. Hopefully we have, here we go, Robert Frost Road, and we're getting down there here. And there it is in Chesapeake. We'll go with 505. Tried 509 earlier today. We'll do 505. Gonna go ahead and just click on that. And it's going to start to instantly bring up this report. Now, again, I want you to notice this is completely branded to you. So here we have our company branding up here. We have all of our market information. So this is for 505 Robert Frost Road in Chesapeake, Virginia. And I want you to start to notice all of these little pencils and all these little buttons and things like that are different colors. All of these are lead generating calls to action. Anytime somebody wants to make a change to this, so if I'm looking at my house, this happens to me, my house, and I'm like, no, we added a half bath. I need to go ahead and change that. Anytime somebody says click and edit that they want to change that information, it's going to ask them to claim that ownership. So first name, last name, phone number, claim ownership with your email, claim with an email. All of that is lead generating. But here's the thing. Even before they start clicking on all of these buttons, you've now received an email right this very second. So Ralston should have something in his box right now that says, somebody checked the value of their home at 505 Robert Frost Road in Chesapeake, Virginia. And it's going to say the property owners are. That is coming from the public record. Now, we know that that's not always the case. If I'm being a nosy neighbor, or if I'm not entirely sure what kind of information that the system might be asking me for, because don't forget, a lot of these home value systems, they're trying to collect information. Ours is really soft. So we don't start really collecting a lot of information until you want to receive reports or change information and things like that. So if I'm thinking, I'm not sure what they're going to ask for, maybe I'm going to check my neighbor first. So maybe I do live at 509 Robert Frost Road, but I checked 505 first because I didn't want to be bothered. That's okay, but you're going to receive a little email that says somebody at 505 or check the value of 505 Robert Frost Road. Here's their address. Here's the property owners, and that's from public record. However, anytime that they start clicking on that little pencil or the I am the owner, or they click those green get now buttons, you're going to see some more calls to action down below. It's going to make them claim it with an actual first name, last name, and an email address. You're going to get a second email at that point that says somebody has either claimed the property or somebody signed up for a monthly report. We do know at that point in time, it's most likely the owner or somebody who has a vested interest in that property who's actually checking. You can certainly do a more hard follow-up at that point. If you notice, like this, let's just take this Robert Frost Road. There's lots of house numbers on here. You might notice that, one or two or three come in all at one time. You probably know that somebody in the area is probably checking on this. It's a great opportunity to maybe send a Express Docs direct mail postcard to the community with maybe a how much is your home worth, maybe send out a 20 or 25 kind of around the area just to see if you can find the person that's there. Fact also has a great home value option as well. We have another postcard or direct mail company. Fact does a great job at kind of using those personalized URLs to find out who might be checking their home value as well. It's just a great way to be able to kind of get more information about that. So do keep that in mind. It is an action item for you. It's not just somebody who looked it up. Go ahead and use some of our other products as well to kind of try to generate business and figure out who that is. But we can also, so we can claim here, we have the owner, we can get a monthly report. Of course, everything's branded to you. We do also have this option here to be able to call and be able to email direct from this button. This button is a floating button. You're going to notice it's going to follow us around down here. Like that. There we go. So somebody can also call an email. This is very, very mobile friendly. This can 100% be used on mobile, tablet, or desktop. Of course, today we're looking at it in desktop mode, but that little floating button also stays with you in mobile mode, which is one of the reasons it was created. As we continue to scroll down, I want you to see that we have a couple of different values. So of course, these are automated value models. So we're going to have a couple of different things here. You may see more or less. There's we try to get 3 in here, and of course the system has a bunch to choose from. It's going to come from RPR, it's going to come from public record, it's going to come from their Zillow model is in here. We try to prioritize other things because now that, of course, Zillow is a brokerage, we do try to prioritize other things other than the Zillow's estimate in here when it's available. This, of course, is a very densely populated area. It's really easy to get information on it. So you're probably going to have the 3 values here. And of course, you can see the different ranges. So the ranges down here are from 496 all the way up to, let's see, 632. So that's a fairly hefty range in here. Now, don't forget, this is not to take the place of your expertise in the market and your expertise in the area. And that's one of the reasons why we have the call to action down here that says, do you need a more in-depth evaluation report from an expert? That the usually answer is yes. And you can, of course, go ahead and contact Ralston. This, again, is going to ask for that information. That's going to be that actual hard lead instead of that soft lead with just the address, because they're going to go ahead and have to register and ask for more information on here. And again, more calls to action. What is the condition of this property? Of course, people want to say, okay, well, if the model is 496, 632, what happens if I say that my house is in excellent condition? It's still in model condition. Let's go ahead and move that up to excellent. Maybe it'll change that value a little bit. We see this button used a lot because people want to increase the value that's on there. They would have to claim it as the owner. Again, that's a hard generation lead. Here's a really interesting section that a lot of you may not realize that's in here. We have something called My Equity. Now, again, this is pulling from public record. Hopefully it's correct. Most of the time it is. But if it's not, there's, again, a great call to action on here that says you can either edit your details or it's all good, or it's going to show different information. So let's go ahead and scroll down and take a look at this My Equity section for the first time here. This is giving us the thing. Your home is the most valuable asset. Use the insights below to get a financial picture of your home. So what is your home worth to you? You can go ahead and edit these details. This one is showing that there's a 30-year loan at 3.78 for $370,800 from November of 2019. Now, I know some of you are going, that's a very intrusive thing to be able to put in front of people, but I will remind you again, all of this is public record. You can look up all of this information. This is great information to be able to give to people because we want to let them know that they do have equity in their home. This is where we start overcoming some of those objections that we have about people who are sitting on maybe a low interest rate. I'm going to actually show you a couple things that you can do with that as well here shortly. But we know that we have some objections about people who are sitting on low interest rates who might not want to move, but we want to show them how much actual equity is in their home and how much more they could buy if they needed to, or if they did need to make a move, that they do have equity in their home as well. So in this case, it's showing that all calculations are based on these numbers. Hopefully we get it right. They can change it. And it's going to show them the estimated equity today. And again, that's based on that automated value that we had above, and then all the different mortgage details that are in here as well. So this number could, of course, fluctuate based on the actual market and what kind of number you were able to produce for them with that range. It's going to show them what they've paid so far, how much interest they've paid. And again, they can also change this as well. Now, you're going to ask the question, what if somebody doesn't have a mortgage? And you'll find that fairly often, especially if somebody's lived in their home. And so what happens is the equity just looks at 100%. So that number is going to be exactly the same as that the estimated value up at the top. So of course they have 100% equity in their home if there's no mortgage on here. It's going to give them a few things that they can do. What happens if you pay a little bit extra? So again, this is just stuff that they can play with. This is great information. This keeps them on your site a little bit longer and asking some questions. Remember, here's all these different contact buttons. These are all calls to action. How they can use their equity, and again, they can go ahead and edit these details. All of this is lead generation. Remember, they have to be able to claim this in order to change this information, or if they want to be able to adjust any of this. This is all hard lead generation information. We're saying with 232,000 estimated in equity, what can you do with this? So they can buy a new home. And of course, these learn more just talk about how they came to some of these values. They can sell and pocket the cash. Maybe they want to go ahead and sell and maybe go into a rental. They're not quite sure where they're going to go yet. They can buy an investment property. Again, all of these are lead generation. They can make home improvements, add more livable space, create an emergency fund, eliminate credit card debt, splurge on a dream vacation, or even pay down some student loans. So of course, all of this is also very relevant information. Remember, we can tie all of this in, especially for those of you who are in the Forever Agent coaching programs and things like that. When you're talking about the lifestyle and planning guide, notice how all of this kind of fits in with all of that Forever Agent information that you're receiving from BHHS and all that great training about becoming that real advisor for real estate in all that you're doing with talking to clients. This is that same conversation. So you're really tying it all in here. So here's your equity. Here's what you can do. You're having a real conversation. Do we let this equity build a little bit longer? Do we go ahead and sell because they're thinking about renting, waiting the market out, or some of that home that they really wanted is still on the market 6 weeks later, and they're really thinking about selling it, maybe downsizing or upsizing. Maybe they've had a change in their circumstances or lifestyle. New babies, our favorite one, of course, and they want to go ahead and buy a new home. These are those conversations you have, but here they are in that report that you can also give them. We come down here to some really great information about what's going on in the market. So this is what we call the buyer heat map. So this is what buyers are searching for and where they're buying. So remember, the darker the color on this map, and I've got this blown up just for this class, but here we go. We're going to kind of scroll up and down just a second here. Remember, the darker the color, the more activity is happening. Now, this is real-time buyer activity in the market. So now we've covered what the home might be worth. We've covered what our equity is. Now, is there somebody who's interested in this home? I want you to notice this is actually a good one to use. I didn't intend this way, but this one's actually a little bit lighter than some of the other areas around here. There's just a little bit less buyer activity for this type of home, this type of price range, maybe this type of area, depends on what it is, than some of these darker areas. But we can use this to our advantage. We're going to talk about that when we come to the BMA, but this is actually going to show where that activity is among buyers for the last 90 days. Okay. It's going to show what buyers are looking for down here. So it's going to show by price range. It's a little bit small on this screen share here, but you'll notice that in the particular price ranges, there's more buyer activity than others. Now, this is a really interesting one, and this house actually comes in handy with this. I don't know the actual value of this home, but based on the numbers that we looked at, let's just say we had a 496 to 603. I'm sure somebody in the chat will tell me exactly how much this home is worth, but let's just take that little number that's right there on the cusp of two different price ranges. This is where you start to have that conversation, and this is also where that buyer can really see, if I price my home at $499.9, look at the buyer pool compared to pricing my home at $505. This is where real conversations happen right here, and the buyers can see it without consulting you, but this is also going to be on that BMA we're going to talk about in just a minute. They can also see the bedrooms here as well. So this is what people are searching for in bedrooms. Obviously, the majority of people right here are looking at that 4-bedroom. We have the 4+ bedroom. There's 3+ bedrooms right here. And then we have, of course, smaller pieces for people looking for either studios, 1-bedrooms, or 2-bedrooms in here. Another great way to have a conversation, if somebody has maybe a 3-bedroom, but they can bump it up to a 4th bedroom, maybe that room over the garage that hasn't been finished or things like that. Again, those real conversations. It's going to show your buyer activity in the last 90 days. Now, this funnel is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller, and there's a reason for that. It's just going to show like the overall market of what's happening in the last 90 days. And then it's going to kind of bring it down to what this actual house is. So this buyer activity here is going to be registered buyers, online inquiries, showing visits, open house sign-ins, etc. And you're going to ask yourself, where is this pulling from? The nice thing is that the company that uses this, Percy.Ai, the engine behind it, has an aggregated source for a lot of this. So this is going to be pulling in things from Zillow. It's going to be pulling in some of that List Hub information. List Hub, of course, powers a lot of the third-party search portals that are not major. It's pulling in the BHHS information. It's pulling in our information as well from our own corporate website and, of course, from your agent websites, and kind of consolidating it all in here. So there's been, wow, 209 million online activities in Virginia. Now, don't forget, this is Virginia as a whole. And this is, of course, registered buyers, online inquiries, showing visits. So anytime somebody, let's just say, just searches for a home, that's that giant pool of stuff. 1,300,000 online activities within a 5-mile radius of that home. Now, of course, we know this is a super dense area. That big number makes a lot of sense. The next number down is the online activities within a 5-mile radius and within the home's price range. So remember, that price range went from the 490s up to the low 600s. So that's a fairly large price range still. You have 115 thousand online activities within that range. And we're going to narrow it down one more time, and that's going to be the online activities within a 5-mile radius and within the home's price range, looking for up to a 4-bedroom. And we get down to 50,000. This is great information. It shows that there's a lot of activity for a house, obviously in this price range, with the number of bedrooms and baths that it has. That's a lot of activity. Now, this does work for all of our North Carolina properties. It does work for all of our rural properties as well. But I do want you to know that in, of course, a super dense area, like we're in here in Chesapeake, these numbers are going to be a lot higher. But in maybe some of our more rural areas, some of our stuff out on the Northern Neck, Eastern Shore, some of our, stuff more in the rural counties and things like that, these numbers are going to be a little bit smaller. And that's okay, because again, these are going to become real conversations with your seller about the realistic number of people who are looking for a property right now. And then we get down to the real meat of all this, which is the registered buyers searching right now in your area. Now, all of these buyers are associated with our company. They are people who have been registered by our agents in the system. And again, we're going to cover this in part 2. But just know that this is something that is very real in our system. These are people who have either been registered directly into Buyside because our agents have inputted them, or these are buyers that may be in our system because they are have a registered saved search on either the company website or your agent site builder websites as well. Those are the 3 sources that tie into this: agent input direct, which most of the people are, and then also if they have a saved search on the company site or if they have a saved search on an agent site. Now, I do want you to notice that all of this information is anonymous. They only have a buyer ID. That's it. So they would actually have to contact you to get the information about these potential 8 people who might be interested in a home like theirs. Completely anonymized in here. Even in the back of our dashboard, if you take that buyer ID and you plug it into our dashboard as an agent, it's only going to show you so a little bit more information that the agent may have provided when they input their buyer, but it's not going to show name. It's not going to show any other information, no identifying marks. You're not going to be able to know who that person is, but it will identify the agent who is working with them in your dashboard so that you can go ahead and contact them. I want you to notice how big some of these ranges are, and you say, oh, this looks really unrealistic. And that's okay. Let's just take that buyer right down here, this 8947686 here. They have a range from 70,000 to 688. And you might be saying to yourself, that doesn't make sense. It might if they have more than one safe search running. So maybe this person in our system is looking for land, maybe up to 125,000, but they're also potentially looking for that 3-bedroom, 3-bath house, and they're in that price range. Maybe their price range in the back of our system might be the 450 to 550. In that case, it might show that range in that system like this, and that's why it might look a little bit different. They may have also checked the value of a property that was less. They might have checked a land property, or they may have checked a condo or something like that, or an investment property, and they're in the system maybe for 2 different properties. So just take that information. It is a real person, I promise, but some of these price ranges might look a little bit different on here. A couple of other things that we cover on down here: the supply side trends. So this is just going to show us what's going on in the market as a whole. It's going to show us some recent nearby sales. And then, of course, even more calls to action here. Contact you if you want a real CMA. So do you want a full-blown one that has all the information? And if you want to receive monthly updates on this property. We get a lot of these inquiries right here. I mean, when I look at the reports for all the different things, we, of course, just checking your home value is number 1. That's the easy thing to do. But you would be astonished at the number of monthly update requests that we get and leads that we get in from all the agent sites and company and things like that to receive a monthly update. And this is a great way to just kind of keep in touch with people. The nice thing is you are welcome to use this as well. So if you have a client who would like to receive a monthly update on their property, you are welcome to register this. You can register them in your dashboard, but sometimes the easiest way is just to go on your home valuation site from your website and pop your people right in. So if you have, Samuel Smith here and you have their email address, you've already looked up their property, you can hit get now. It'll go ahead and register it right from the public side, just like they would have if you went ahead and did it on your own dashboard as well. You're welcome to use this for your own clients. If you're talking to them and say, hey, do you want to receive a monthly update on this? You can certainly do that as well. All right, I am going to return really quickly here I'm going to go back over to our Buyside dashboard. And I'm going to go to Agent View. And I want to show you the professional version of this. Remember, we've been looking at this public version the whole time. Right now, that is all information we have given away for free. So somebody coming onto our website, somebody clicking on one of our calls to action, somebody clicking on that, scanning that QR code, whatever it happens to be. Maybe they're clicking through our email signature. They've popped in their address. That is the public facing side. But maybe you're going on a listing presentation and you want to go ahead and take one of those reports, but you want it to be personalized to you and you want it to be a little bit more professional. You can run this same report that we just saw on your public facing side, but make it a PDF instead. So here I am on your dashboard, and I'm going to go ahead and click over to the BMA. This is the buyer market analysis. So again, it's giving that information about what is actually going on in the market with buyers. So it's going to give those heat maps. It's going to give all those supply trends. It's going to give the actual buyers who are looking in the market, but in just a really professional PDF form. So I'm going to go ahead and click on BMA up here at the top. And it's going to ask me to enter an address. Now, if after all of this class, you don't remember how to do this, it's okay. There is an explainer video right below. It's only 2.5 minutes. You don't have to go through this whole class to find it again. You can certainly go ahead and click on that. It'll give you some best practices for running this BMA. So let's go ahead and put in an address here. So why don't we go ahead and put in our 505 Robert Frost again, since we just looked at that. And again, it's going to go ahead and start to try to pull it in for us. Now, as the agent, you have the opportunity here. So hopefully, if you are going on a listing presentation, you might know a little bit about this property. You can certainly double check it here. I will say detached almost always is perfect. When you start to get into some of your attached properties, even or your condos, you may have to finagle this just a little bit. So do keep an eye on just making sure that this data is correct. Again, it's pulling it from the public data, but if you have some knowledge of the property ahead of time, you can certainly go ahead and change that. But it's asking bedrooms, baths, living square footage, lot square footage, and then you can certainly change the property type if you need to. There's a whole bunch in here that you can choose from. And then hit next. And then it's going to ask you for the values that you'd like to show. Now, this is where you have the option. Maybe one of the valuations is completely off. You can certainly add it in here and then have that conversation with them that if they're looking online, that you may see some of these low values, but you think that there's more value in this property than what's showing online. Maybe there's something that's way too high. It is just completely off base. You can certainly take it out of here as well. If you have a Zillow that comes in here and you don't want to open up that Zestimate conversation, you can certainly not choose it as well. But I'm going to go ahead and choose all three of these. They're pretty consistent, actually. And that way you can go ahead and discuss what some of the public might see. Here's where you can add your own. So maybe you've gone through and you've done all the data on this. You know what this home might be worth. And you want to put your actual low and high estimate in here. You can go ahead and do that. So let's just based on these, I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but let's just say on here that we're going to talk between maybe 550 and 575. All right. Whatever you put in that estimate box is going to affect that buyers. And the reason I wanted to limit this is to show you. Remember, in that public facing one, we had 8 featured buyers. And that's because the range went from 496 to 632. If you needed to pull in any extra buyers, and this comes in really handy, especially if you're working some rural properties or you're working a price range or an area that may not have as many registered buyers in here, you can certainly use these sliders to pull it out a little bit more. So if I just increase that value just a little bit, I pick up a few more, I'm going to decrease it just a little bit, and hopefully I'll pick up another 1 or 2. There we go. And we can certainly go ahead and generate this PDF. So it's going to show those 6 featured buyers at the bottom instead. This is the longest portion of this. I've done more talking than I have actually doing this, but you can see that all you have to do is really type in the address, make sure the information is correct, use your sliders to make sure that you have some active buyers in the system. And then once you go ahead and generate the report, it takes about 60 seconds or so to do. We're all going to just watch these twirling little circles together, and it's going to go ahead and create the PDF for us. It's just pulling in all of that information that you saw, and then it's just creating a really nice presentation piece that you can print your email. So we do have a number of agents who go through and pick a street in a home, in a neighborhood that they might be working, and they generate all sorts of these different reports to be able to drop off. Or even to mail to people. So don't think about this as just a listing presentation piece either. You can certainly use this to do some prospecting, especially if you want to do a hard mail instead of a postcard. All right, so we can view this report. In my case, it went ahead and downloaded as well. And I'm just going to click view report. It's going to pull in my PDF. It's branded with our sign on there. There is Ralston and his smiley happy face. It's going to bring in all of the information that again is in your profile. So it's going to have your realtor title. It's going to have your address on here. It's going to have your email address, your website address, and of course your home valuation as well. So all that is nicely branded. It's going to just have a little quick thing about why you should work with us. And then it's going to start to get into that same information that we just had. So again, you can use this in conjunction with all of the other information that you might be taking on this listing presentation. So maybe this is going to be used in conjunction with, of course, a traditional market analysis that you've done, or maybe you're going to be using this in conjunction with a lot of the reports that are provided by the company. Don't forget, we have those fantastic market reports that come out all the time. This is a great way to really lay out that information and really talk through real-time values, real-time market conditions, what's really going on in the market to try to determine that price, and also maybe the timing for bringing it on market. So there's those valuations we picked up. There's Ralston's suggested value range from that 550 to 575. This is what his recommendation is going to be. And again, don't forget, every page is branded here. So if you email it and it gets disconnected from something, all of your branded information is on here. Here's that heat map we just talked about. This is where you start to have that conversation that, yes, this is a really popular price range. There's, as we scroll down, there's obviously going to be a lot of activity, but it's not quite as much online activity as some of these other places. This is where we might talk about, what do we do to generate more buyers for this property? Maybe we need to price it a little more conservatively. Maybe you as an agent need to market a little bit more. This is where you also have maybe these conversations that say, don't forget, you have that chalk digital ad that's going to be run when this listing is taken. And you're going to say, don't worry about it. I have a digital ad that's going to run for the first 7 days it comes on market. It's going to cover 15 miles around this property. That's what the chalk digital ad covers on social, 15 miles. We're going to cover these areas that have these other, buyer activities to make sure that we're trying to pull in as many pools as possible here. So use the other tools that you have when you're having these conversations as well. Going to continue to scroll down. We just looked at all of this. So here's that online activity. You should be able to go ahead and explain all of that on here as well. There's those bedrooms and price ranges. Remember, if something's right on the cusp, this is a great place to have that conversation. Now, these price ranges do change based on the price of the property. So if you start to work in some of the more luxury collection pieces, it may not have some of these lower price ranges in there as well. It may start breaking it out a little bit differently. So do know that this price range section does change based on the property value that you're working with as well. And again, there's that bedroom situation. This is a really unique one. Normally we find that the 4-bed is the number one on here, but this again is where you have that conversation. If somebody is only listing a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom and that 4-bedroom is the number one spot, maybe you talk about how to finagle that 4th bedroom in that listing if you possibly can. Or great conversation to say why it might not work for some people. And again, there's those buyers. Remember, completely anonymized. Only you can look up this information. Again, you're not going to be able to get who the actual buyer is. You're only going to be able to get some more basic information if the agent has provided it, but mostly it's going to give you the information on which agent it is that you can contact to say that you might have a home coming on the market. We are going to talk about the buyer match system. So inputting buyers, doing the coming soon listings, how to match buyers and listings. That is going to all be in part 2. So I promise you, I'm not skipping it. It's just going to be in part 2 of that training in 2 weeks. All right. And again, you can print this out. You can email it. This is a beautiful presentation for you to add to all of your other information. All right. I want to show you a couple of other things because part of the home valuation system and part of all of this is also being able to use this in postcards. It's being able to use this on social media. And I can't tell you enough. We have, close to 700 agents in the company. We all can't post online. Find out how much your home is worth because it would get repetitive even in our local market. I want to show you some great ideas using AI that you can do. And I've just pulled up a couple of examples here. and to be able to generate different calls to action. Now, again, you can use these on social, you can use these in your email signature, you can use these on postcard, but I want you to kind of think outside the box. I know that you all went to the amazing AI class at the Win. So I know you guys are going to be experts at writing prompts. I just want to give you some ideas that you might be able to use, but of course, feel free to use your own, especially if you start thinking about all the different places that you're working and the types of neighborhoods that you're really prospecting, and thinking about that lifestyle and planning guide and all the different ways that people might have to move or might need a reason to find a value in their home. So I've just pulled up a couple of things here. Oh, let me scroll back up to the top. All right, remember, we have to give it a good prompt. So I've said, we have a tool that provides home valuations if someone enters an address. We're telling it what we have. The complimentary instant report shows home values from multiple online sources, what's going on in the market, home buyer activity online, what home buyers are looking for, and a list of potential home buyers looking for a home like theirs. That should sound exactly like the report that we just looked at. Create a list of 100 calls to action for social media that would encourage people to check their home values, get an instant report. Here are some examples. So I gave it some examples, like here's what I'm looking for. You might want to go ahead and use maybe some of your own calls to action that you previously used to say, here's what my voice sounds like, and here's what I want my calls to action to sound like. So I've given a couple of examples here. I actually stole those from Percy itself. So it created 100 suggestions. Now, the one thing I did forget in that prompt was I forgot to tell it, don't violate fair housing. You can certainly go ahead and do that too. Just keep in mind fair housing on here. But I do want you to remember that ChatGPT or Copilot or anything is not required to follow fair housing. So you're going to have to wade through some of these and make sure that it's something that you actually want to say. Make sure that it's not saying something it's not supposed to, and also make sure that it's in your own voice. So this is generated for me. I'm not going to go through all of these, but notice it's given me a lot of really short ones here. Don't guess your home's worth. Know it. Click for a free valuation. How much is your home worth today? Find out instantly. Let's scroll down just a little bit. Let's just find some other ones. See how your home compares. Get an instant valuation. These are all really short. How much equity do you have? Find out by checking your home's value. Remember, we have that equity component. Curiosity pays off. Find out your home's value now. So we've asked it just some basic stuff. You can read through this and really kind of find your own voice. Maybe you pick one or two. I'm a fan of maybe picking the first part of one and the second part of another, or adding two of them together. But certainly let the AI do the work for you just to get you some inspiration. So of course it came up with a fair number, but I've actually started saying a couple of other things here. How about this? Create a similar list using longer calls to action that would be suitable to put on a direct mail postcard. Obviously, just doing a short CTA on a postcard doesn't make a lot of sense, but maybe putting a sentence or two does. So it took all those suggestions it had up top, and it's given me some long ones. Thinking of selling? Gain a competitive edge by knowing your home's current value. Click now for an instant report. Don't just guess how much your home is worth. Arm yourself with accurate data for our free valuation tool. Some of these might work, some of these might not. You might need to give it a different prompt to kind of give it your own voice, but it's certainly giving us a lot of ideas here. Looking to sell or refinance? The first step is knowing your home's worth. Get your free valuation. All right. Let's tag into not using the words price and value. Let's not sound like realtors all day long. So give me a list of 20 calls to action to get automated home value report without using the words value, worth, or price. How many times have we seen these? How much is your home worth? What's the price? What's the value? Let's talk to people like we're sitting across from them getting a cup of coffee. Thinking of selling? Find out your home's potential in seconds. Discover what your home could bring on the market. So we're just taking out those kind of big realtor buzzwords here. Planning to renovate or sell? Get an automated assessment to guide your decisions. Here we get into some of that lifestyle and planning guide information. So just think about those different ways to say it. Here's another one. Create 20 calls to action to get a home value report that are tailored to people downsizing. Again, lifestyle and planning guide. Let's think about all the reasons people need to move. You can always post different ways of your home valuation on social media. Downsizing soon? Know what you're working with. Get your home valuation report today. Thinking of a smaller space? Find out how much equity you could bring with you. These are all different ways to just talk about downsizing without talking about downsizing. Let's do another one. Create 20 calls to action to get a home value report that are tailored to people who are moving out of the area. This is an important one for us, especially with the number of military moves we have. Include a call to action that we could help them find a real estate agent who can help them find a home in their new location. Let's put it all together. Let's get them a home value and let's get a referral out of it. So now we're relocating soon. Make informed decisions with a comprehensive home value report. Get yours now. So you can see we got a couple of really good ones here. Changed it again. Create 20 calls to action to get a home value report that are tailored to people who are looking for home with more room or bigger homes. Maybe we need to upsize. Create 20 calls to action to get a home value report that are tailored to people who need to live closer to where they work. So maybe we have somebody want to tailor to people who maybe have a long commute. Maybe we want to, bring them closer into where they are. Tired of a long commute? Find out how much your current home can get you closer to work. Get a home value report now. Again, these are all lifestyle and planning guide tips here. Think of all the reasons people need to move. Call to action. This is probably my favorite right now. Create 20 calls to action to get a home value report that is tailored to people who have a lot of equity in their home and could take advantage of it. So we have that equity component. Let's talk about it. Use the 20 calls to action to try to convince someone to sign up for the monthly home value report. Don't forget, sometimes it's not just about the home value. Sometimes it's about trying to get that monthly report. We want to get that real name. We want to get that real email address. We want to generate that lead. So keep a finger on the pulse of your home's value. Subscribe for monthly updates and stay ahead. This is not talking about find out your home's value. This is literally just talking about the monthly home value report. Same link. We just want to get more information about people. We're just trying to attack it a different way. We're trying to show people, again, value a different way. Focusing on that list of buyers. So just saying, we have buyers. Do you want to see what we have for buyers for your home? So again, not about value, actually about buyers. Did it excluding information? Here's a good one for you. This is probably one of my favorite prompts I've ever written. Using all the calls to action above. So we have tons of them up there. Create 30 calls to action for people who own their homes, have equity in their homes, but have a low interest rate and are not incentivized to sell right now. Your cameras are off and I saw a lot of perk ups. So these are people, low interest rates, have equity, aren't incentivized to move. These are calls to action that you can use in that case. So again, just writing these different prompts on here. Explore what's beyond your low interest rate. The market for homes like yours is buzzing. Is your current low interest rate holding you back? Selling landscape might change your mind. You have lots and lots of different ways that you can say this. Again, you can tailor this to your own voice. Maximize your home's potential. Your equity is growing, even if you're content with your rate. It's a little bit different strategy on here, but we know we have a lot of houses that are like this. Calls to action that don't use the words rate or equity. Let's not talk in realtor terms. Same thing, just different way to say it. And then my favorite, based on the current events of the past 6 months in pop culture, generate interesting or funny CTAs to get people home values. Sometimes we just need to have humor. Sometimes we just need to tap into the most current movie or TV show. Sometimes we need to tap into what's going on and just make it fun and use it instead. There's also a great prompt in here that you can also use to generate ideas for, TikTok videos or reels that might be using current events or memes to be able to generate home value. So don't just take it as something kind of, I don't want to say boring, but, typical. You can also use it for something fun and funny. You can use it to generate ideas for videos. You can use it for all sorts of fun stuff. But I hope some of these prompts will give you some ideas about how you can market your home value system and your home value site in different ways using different calls to action. Before we close today, just wanted to give you two things here real quick. Oops. I'm going to grab these and put these in chat for you. Everything we've talked about today is going to be available in this, and I want you to have some of these talking points outside of this video as well. So I'm going to grab this link, which is going to talk about the Percy Home Value Report. So this is going to talk about all of those different sections that we had. It's going to give you some talking points. It's going to talk about how you can talk to people about it as well. This is a great PDF that you can go ahead and download. And it is going to give you everything here. So it's going to be talk about, you don't have to worry about the branding. We've already done that from the company, but it's going to give you those talking points for the heat map. It's going to give you all the different talking points that you'll need to, how you can adjust some information and all the different components to this. The other one that I want to give you too is the talking points for the BMA in a listing presentation. So I know we talked about this, but this will give you kind of a one-pager on how you can use the BMA, which again is that really great little PDF report that has the same information as your public site, and how you can integrate that with your BMA. This again, it's just going to give you those talking points, and it's going to just give you some more information. So I've thrown those two resources into your chat for you. And I would love if you guys would go ahead and use some of that information if you need it. And of course, we are certainly here to help you as well with your home valuation site. So again, this is part one. So this is talking about that home valuation site in the BMA. We will be doing part two, which again talks about that buyer match. It's going to talk about entering buyers. It's going to talk about coming soon listings and how you can even use some of those listings and buyers in social media to be able to try to generate additional buyer information for your listings as well. So we're going to be talking about that in part two. And again, all of this is in preparation, not only for a great spring selling season, but as we gear up for National Home Valuation Week. Again, with that information will be coming out later. We don't quite have that ready for you right now, but all of this is to get ready for that as well. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them. I know our time is just about up. You can either throw them into chat or raise your hand. I'd be happy to take them. Otherwise, I hope you have a great selling day.